especially in snow removal, you have to be a little bit insane to want to stay up all night and do what you do. So you basically go into it. You have to be a very hard worker to be in that category, and there's very few people that want to go those many hours.
Yep. Yeah, I ran into that a lot. It was funny because it was at that time when I was doing the snow removal, I had my skid loader, obviously an attachment for the a snow plow, and then I had a pickup truck and just like a little dump truck to salt the streets, and the trucks weren't difficult to find people to run, but I also needed like 2 shovelers to be out there.
Oh my gosh!
And those nobody, I think. I went through those guys like nothing. Someone would show up, and after like being out there for 3 hours, they're like, I can't do this anymore, and they would just go home.
Yeah. Well, so Julie, you want to talk about your shoveling?
Yeah. So I started shoveling a couple years ago. Well, I don't know how old I was. I mean, I was probably 17, maybe 16 or 17.
I think it was right when you were 16.
Either way, though. I was like, oh, this will be no big deal. I'll shovel for a couple hours, make some good money, because you told me $25 an hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much. Like, I'm down. And then I don't know where I shoveled the first couple of times, but somehow I ended up at Sonatas, which is like some
Maples at the Sonatas in Woodstock, which is just north of the courthouse. So it's a big place. Yeah.
So here I am, me, and the dispatchers are like, yeah, other people are going to show up. Like, it's just like, just start shoveling some stuff. And more often than not, there would be nobody.
Well, this is typical snow dispatch. When there's I have no one, you don't tell the people shoveling, we have no one. So they're coming, just keep going, So unfortunately it happened to my own daughter,
Yeah, so I got stuck shoveling basically the entire thing. Every once in a while I'd have like 3 people. But I already would have half of it done by the time they got there. So I was shoveling for like a day. Like, I think I had like 30 something hours one of the times I was shoveling. Yeah. So I'm hearing that. I don't feel bad for them.
So Austin, it's one of the things, and I'm going to use this opportunity as a plug because it's one of the reasons I push so hard to find automation, right? I mean, the podcast is automated success, right? And that's what the stuff we're going to start diving into. But this left-hand robotics machine that I have can snow blow 20 miles of sidewalk every 10 hours. Okay.
Wow.
So it's like, people are always telling me, oh, you're taking away jobs with your technology. And I'm sure you have similar conversations with your drone stuff with Sight and Titan. Sure. But what I tell people is I'm taking jobs in this that nobody wants. People come in for an interview and I'll ask them, so what's your experience? And like, I've had to shovel my mom and dad's driveway since I was 12. And I'm like, okay, so what have you done besides that? Well, nothing. And I'm like, holy cow, you have no idea. This is, take one driveway times 300.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm going to send you to go do,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was funny because I've found, so other than these two guys that, 2 of my best friends, Aaron and Mark from high school, they were they're super consistent, but it was because we also had a lot of fun out there. Like, we'd be out in the middle of the night and we'd take breaks here and there and just hang out. And like, it was fun to be out there with some of your best friends. But other than that, it was like, we couldn't find anybody that wanted to do that job.
Well, and see, this is what sucks about snow removal is, and this is what happens in lawn care and everything. If you find shovelers that are really good, it's hard to let them move up because you're like, I can never lose this guy. There's a guy that hopefully he'll tune in this podcast one day. His name was Ben, and he would get a few guys together. And we literally, the song Benny and the Jets, Benny and the Jets. We used to, every time Ben would show up, we referred to him and his crew as Benny and the Jets because they got shit done so fast and they would go from place to place. But when Ben asked me if he could go into a machine, I was like, oh shit, because I lose the jet,
Yeah.
So, but this is, going back towards automation. These are the things that happen when you bring automation into an industry like ours,
Yeah, for sure.
Because on the snow removal side, now that you're running stuff for your dad at Rabine, are you dealing with any of the snow stuff, or do you guys have a separate division for that? Do you have to deal with staffing that?
So we Yeah, we have a separate company for that. So I oversee all of the businesses right now. So Dave, he's been with us for probably, I think, 5 years now, overseeing snow and does a great job. So, for the most part, I don't really have to, other than, checking in on sales and how are things going and looking at metrics and stuff like that. I don't have to get too involved with it unless there's, an issue or just checking in on how things are going on. So
Yeah, so your days of being up all night chasing the white gold flakes are over.
yeah, I do miss it sometimes though. It's like
so this is what's crazy about us, right? It's like you try all this time to get out of it. I tell her all the time, like, I can't keep doing this shit. Like, why am I doing this? And then the first time I decide not to go out on a snow event, I'm like, well, I'm going to go check on the guys. And I still go out. I don't know what the problem is. I cannot get out of that rut, which is when it's snowing, I need to be in a truck, So.
Yeah, same. No, I mean, I haven't done it for a while, but there's definitely, I don't know. I was thinking about it the other day. I was talking to somebody one of our teammates, and it's like, I don't know, the war stories and like those really difficult times are sometimes like the most fun and the ones that you look back on and like, man, that was awesome. We accomplished a lot. It was a pain in the ass and it sucked at the time, but looking back at it, that was a cool experience.
Yeah, well, that is the thing about snow removal is it's a unique industry with that because, unfortunately, one day regulation is going to hit and they're going to not allow people to work more than a 12-hour shift, which actually I'd probably advocate for because it probably needs to happen sooner than later. But on the flip side, so much gets accomplished with a team of people in one night. And the whole time you're like at each other's throats sometimes and just, you got people calling being like, you want me to go where and why? And you're like, just do it. I need you to go, but then afterwards, the level of accomplishment, the feeling of accomplishment is it's like almost like an endorphin rush just before you go home and go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I remember there was one night where we were probably out for, I don't know, 30 plus hours snow plowing. And my buddy that was shoveling for me, he got done early. I always took a little bit longer. So it's like, just go back to the truck, just put the tailgate down for me so that when I'm done, set everything up so I can just run the machine up the trailer and we can get out of here. And I show up and nothing was done and he was passed out in the cab and I was like, I am gonna kill you. Like, I just went off on him. I was so pissed because we'd been up for 30 plus hours and just at each other's throats the whole time.
Yeah, we've gotten to the point now where we have certain areas that will park. So like our dispatchers know if people like at our Costco's or whatever go and park in the back corner by the gas station or at our shop, like if drivers come back and park, we have like do not disturb zones now because now we realize like, okay, a lot of times you only need like a 2 or 4 hour nap to clear the cobwebs,
Yeah.
But I also will tell you that it does get frustrating because the longest I've ever gone in snow removal, I've been up for 57 hours straight. And I'm like thinking, okay, I'm up for 57 hours and I've got this 20-year-old guy that would be up for 30 hours if he was partying, but tells me he can't stay up more than 10 hours. Or, like those are all the frustrations in snow removal,
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't want to spend the whole podcast talking about that, but it's always fun when you can share a similar experience,
Yeah, for sure.
So you sold the equipment to your sister. You went in driveways. What kind of made like take me from there to where you are now? You know, like literally just jump from you're doing some subcontracting work for your dad. I think the part that I want to learn most about, and I think our listeners are going to want to hear most about, is what inspires you to get into sight. I mean, this drone stuff you're doing, it fascinates me. So get me into what part of your brain said, man, I can start sending drones all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, so technology has always been something that I've been really interested in just from, let alone growing up with technology and just seeing different apps and different things that are coming into the market. And I've always been really interested in how those things can, how we can take those and relate them to our business. It's, construction is an old school business with very little technology that's been implemented over time. Other than, there's equipment technology and stuff like that, but really that's about it. And there was even prior to Site, something that my dad and I had started that was, Uber had come out and I started using Uber. I live in the city, so I was using Uber all the time, and I was like hearing in the office all of these issues that we had with trucking. And I was like, man, there's got to be a way that something similar to what Uber is doing can be used in trucking. So that was another thing that we kind of started, and that particular project didn't really go anywhere because I kind of had to refocus my time. But a couple of years later, we met somebody else that was interested in that industry, and now my dad and him have actually built a company called XBE that's doing something very similar for trucking as Uber. So I've always been interested in looking at current technologies, and I'm not coming up with anything like super innovative, right? I'm just looking at things and how they can translate into our industry to make us more efficient. So we had, for a long time, my dad had always done these things that were called RPMs, which were Rabine Pavement Management Programs. And we would send an engineer or subject matter expert out to a facility. They'd walk the facility. They would take a few pictures. They'd come up with a condition report and a budget for that one property. And we deliver it in a PDF and an Excel document. And it was valuable. It helped us build really great relationships with clients, and it helped them manage their properties more efficiently. But it was really just a snapshot of that one single facility. And so as we grew, we started to get more and more national clients. So we started a company called Rabine Paving America, which was just focused on national big box retailers, real estate investment trusts, property management companies. And we essentially subcontracted all of the equipment and labor out to a local contractor, but we would manage the work. We'd communicate with the facility. We'd communicate with the client. And so when we started doing more of that, all of these properties, we were still trying to kind of figure out how we can leverage these RPMs to be able to build better relationships and to be able to get information on facilities for our clients. So we had one national retailer who had us doing this for all of their distribution centers. I think it was every 4 years we would do it. And they had 37 distribution centers across the United States. We'd fly people all over to capture, or to go out and walk these facilities. And it would take 7 or 8 months to do, 37 facilities. So just like we would get information back. It wasn't great data. There wasn't, if there were changes to the scope, there wasn't a lot that we could do because we only had a limited amount of pictures that the guy on site took. So it was valuable to the clients, but we just knew that there was a better way to do it. I remember we even started to, at one point we had somebody that was in charge of our sales team, Sam, who they started to send like interns out. So we wanted to figure out how we can send somebody, at a lower cost to capture information, and then have somebody in the office put the condition reports together in budget. So at one point he even had somebody go out with a GoPro and like a skateboard or something like that and walk and skate through a parking lot just to capture imagery and videos of the whole facility. And then we attached a camera to the front of a car, and then the car would drive through and take a video of the entire parking lot. So we were trying all these different things. And then at one point, one of my dad and I's friends reached out to us, who has a venture fund in New York, and said that there is a company that they were looking at that has these drone networks. And we were like, well, that's interesting. So we started to look into it. We talked to them, and they have thousands of these independent drone pilots throughout the United States who are all FAA certified, professional drone pilots that we could hire as needed anywhere in the U.S. So we're like, well, that would be, super interesting to be able to solve some of the scalability issue that we're seeing in sending people out to all of these facilities. So we started to play around with it. I mean, at first the drone imagery was at like 300 feet in the air, and it was, the information they were getting was really cool, but not a lot that we could do with it from an assessment standpoint. So then we started to play around with the flight plans. we got a handful of flight plans flight plans or recipes we call them, in place where we knew what the elevation needed to be for pavements, for roofs, for facades. We're looking at landscaping for all of these exterior pieces of a facility. And it came down to elevation, camera angle, cross lap and overlap of the images. And we got it to a point where we're like, this I think is really valuable. Like we're onto something where this should be scalable for clients that we're dealing with, to find a lot of value in these assessments. So this was in 2017, and we were working on it within Rabine Paving America for probably 6 to 8 months. And then, eventually I went to my dad and said, I really think that there is a huge opportunity for this business outside of Rabine. Still, obviously we still own the business, but outside of kind of the Rabine paving and roofing entities, because there could be so much more from a tech standpoint and from data collection and what we're delivering to the client. So in 2018, January of 2018, we officially started Site because we had a handful of clients that really liked what we were delivering to them. So the deliverable is essentially, before it was that one-off property and it was a PDF of a facility. Now we got to the point where, okay, we have this digital clone of a facility that you can zoom in, you can see tiny cracks on the pavement, you can see a wrapper on the ground, and now we're able to annotate on that map. So essentially like on Google Earth, I'm sure that, when you guys are doing quotes, you go in and you measure from Google Earth. Well, we can do that with the drone imagery as well. So we create, a bunch of different layers on this drone mapping. It's essentially just Google Earth except on steroids. And we have a bunch of layers. So we'll go in, we'll create a condition for the facility, and then we create a 5-year maintenance plan for the facility. And so they can go in, they can toggle on, the zone map, see the conditions of all of the zones and their pavements or their roofs, go into 2021, see the work that should be performed there. And then they get this visual of exactly what needs to be done to maintain that property. So that's kind of that was the first piece. And then we said, all right, well, this is great and this is super valuable, but there's a ton of data and information that we're capturing here that we should be able to create some sort of analytics and dashboard for our clients. So then we started to build that out. Now we have, and really at first it was just an MVP that we built, and we just released a brand new kind of platform and dashboard for our clients. But so now we take all of those properties that our engineers and subject matter experts are doing the review on and annotating, and now we're taking all of that information and we're creating actionable reports. So now somebody that oversees 1,000 properties can go in and they can see their best property all the way to their worst property. They can see how much money they're spending per year at each property. If they need to reallocate budgets, there's tools in there for them to be able to sort through that and say, okay, this is where we should push off work for the next year or 2 years. So I mean, it's been a really fun company and product to build, because it's something that, again, we just took, a couple different technology, things that were already out there, and we figured out how to repurpose them for our industry. Like I said, now we're doing pavements, we're doing roofs, facades. We're starting to look at lighting. We have an intern on our team that's a LEED certified engineer who is he's basically looking at facilities and figuring out what LEED points it has, and then, hey, here are the couple little things that you can do to get the next LEED credits. And then we're also starting to capture interior of facilities as well. So we're going in and we're using a couple different cameras to capture interiors and be able to do assessments for the interiors of properties.
So the thing you brought up with the LEED credits, I literally cannot believe that I bring a guy on my podcast, and not just a guy, but Austin Rabine, and you start talking about something you're doing, and much like, I mean, I did your dad's interview, and it's so crazy to me. Like, this is what's awesome about technology companies, the amount of pooling we can do together, Yeah. So with us in the robotic mowing business, okay, like, we've reduced our carbon footprint by 81,000 pounds.
Well, it's really probably more, but like there's a lot more. It's more than that.
Okay, so it's more than that. So the last estimate was 81,000 pounds. Okay, with just probably what, a 10% conversion so far for Langton Group. So I took my Langton Group customers, and like, I don't know, where do you live now? Like, where do you live?
In the city, in downtown, West Loop, Chicago. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're out here by me and your dad all the time, if you go down Route 14, like I'll say Catalent Pharmaceuticals, for instance, I have 11 robots there. I have stuff that's plugged into the building and stuff that we have an off-grid solar solution, right? But when you cumulatively add all of this up, tons and tons of carbon footprint saving. And then I start looking at stuff in California where they're a net zero build state now. Sorry, we're gonna have to do just a bit of editing. I think that my dog has to go out and okay. Chris, thank God I have a podcast editor. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a catastrophe. So all right, so let's hit the restart button. So so now with you're talking about using Site and you have someone on staff that's figuring out what lead points there are. In California, they're net zero build now. So California is a massive market for guys like you and I, because they can't build in California unless they can figure out how they're going to decrease carbon somewhere else.
That's crazy.
Like literally after this episode, you and I, we need to figure something out. There has to be some sort of collaboration here. You know? Absolutely.
Well, totally. Because I mean, we're starting to go in. So our clients actually don't know that we're doing this yet, because we just he's actually just an intern for us this year. He's great. He's a super smart kid. But yeah, he's going in, he's looking at these facilities, and he's doing simple stuff as far as just like add a bike rack, add a carpool parking stall. You know, use the lawn robot. Like, very simple things that now they can start to add up to these different LEED certifications.
Well, yeah, so like we've got a deal right now where we're working on something with a national cemetery group. And, you know, when I brought up the fact that if they like convert entire cemeteries over, they should be able to get some LEED points. And they're like, well, how do I get them? And I'm like, well, I don't know. You know, so now it's like I'm on a podcast with you, and I'm like, I think Austin might know. And you do. You know, and this is the thing, you know, it's like, it's part of True Mentors. You know, one of the things that I talk about is like, your success is you're as successful as your network, you know? And
totally.
At the end of the day, it's like, this is like networking 101. You know, you start talking to somebody and hear what they're doing, and light bulbs just start going off, you know? So
for sure.
That is amazing. Like that to me is really, that's some special stuff right there. That not only were you able to take something that's already innovative, right? Like, let's tap into a drone network. Amazing. Just in itself, that's pretty awesome, because drones are cool. As I was sitting out on my deck this morning on your dad's golf course, I say to Julie, I'm like, look, a drone, and the drone's zipping down the golf course. Well, I know it's one of yours. Check it out on the golf course. Looks for your dad, you know? But anyhow, you know, you do that. Then you figure out, okay, we did this for a specific need, much like what we're doing with automation. You know, I did it for a specific need, which was to cut down on environmental pressure. Okay, so you were in landscaping at some point, right? So what happens for me is a large landscaping company, if it rains Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the person that got mowed on Friday, they don't remember it rained Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So when I don't show up till Sunday, they think I'm unreliable. They just don't realize that the whole schedule got pushed, right? And then it throws everything off. So first I look at robots and I say, if this just solves our environmental pressure, it's worth the investment. To me, that's what you guys did. Drones, figure out so we don't strap cameras to trucks, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Then you figure, okay, now I have this extra data. What do I do with the extra data? Which is what really happened with us after Langton Group started using it. Then I realized, okay, well, now we know how to fix the robots. So AOS will fix robots for other people, and AOS will start franchising so that we can help people with the automation. And we put guys like Austin together in a group so that people that landscape can landscape, but we make the technology easy, which is what you're doing for your customers. You took technology and basically said, let's roll it in everything, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think it was your point to eliminating jobs before. I wanted to comment on that because we hear that all the time. Like, well, aren't you going to be eliminating the engineer's job because they're not going out on site and doing these different things? And like, no, absolutely not. I mean, we're still going to need those engineers because what we're doing. So with all the imagery that we have now, we've kicked off a project where we're building artificial intelligence and machine learning to be able to detect, have the software or computer detect, issues in the pavement or in the roof automatically. So now we get, a report saying here's where all the issues are, and then our engineers take it from there and do any additional customizations that they need to do. But really, that's all they're doing is it's just maximizing their time and allowing them to do something that they're more efficient and would rather do, rather than looking at thousands of pictures and looking at cracks and stuff like that. Now they're looking at a report and they're actually making decisions about how that pavement should be maintained. Not only that, but now they can do 100 times, if not more, than what they would have been able to do otherwise. So, we're just allowing them to do more with technology, but they're still going to have that job. We're just taking the parts away that they don't really want to do anyway.
Well, and it's safe to say too, okay, so you're tapping into a drone network of, you said, certified people, FAA, stuff like that, right? And you're increasing the amount they're working with their drones, right? So you're a job creator. I mean, that's the thing that I always try to explain to people. And maybe for you, I kind of get the whole engineering side of it, right? Because that's a high paying job. But the jobs that I'm replacing are jobs that have a glass ceiling. Because what happens for me, going back to the shoveler, okay?
Yep.
I take a guy or a girl that mows grass at a high level, okay? Because the people that don't mow at a high level, I get rid of, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not good enough for Langton. They don't fit our values. They don't do what I ask them to do for our customers. So they leave, exit left. So now the people that are really great, I have a decision to make as a business owner. If I bring this person up in the company, I have to bring somebody else in to mow, or I can just leave that person on the mower. But when you're in a market that only pays $40 an acre, here, let me ask you a question. When you were mowing, okay, because it hasn't changed that much, what would you charge for a 1 acre yard?
Probably 30.
Okay, so 30, right? So no labor burden, no anything. Now this will make sense to our listeners that listen.
Yeah.
When I tell my customers I offer health insurance, my foremen get a 401k, I have workman's comp, I have new trucks, and they're like, well, Austin can do it for 30. And I'm like, well, I need to be at 53 to break even. They're like, well, then you need to do something. And I'm like, shit. So now I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to mow grass for $40 a year?
Right.
I'm never going to be able to pay somebody more than $16 an hour. So what quality worker am I going to get? I'm not doing any value for our economy at all.
For sure.
In schools, guidance counselors don't say, hey, get A's, get B's, don't have good grades, and then go work for Joe Langton at Langton Group cutting grass. Like no one's telling kids to do that, but they are telling them to learn about technology. They are, and whether kids want to learn about it or not, technology is in front of them every day. We're doing a Zoom call, a podcast that we used to not be able to do this way. We would be in a room with a microphone recording. There'd be 5 people sitting in another room listening to us. Now we could get on, I could do 5 podcasts today, all from different locations, right? Yeah. So, when you start talking about technology, it doesn't kill jobs. It creates new ones, number one. And it streamlines things so that the consumer can still pay the rate they've budgeted.
Right.
At the end of the day, you guys work for big corporations, so do I. Yeah. They don't want to see their outside maintenance budget increase.
Right, exactly.
They want to see it stay here. And if anything, you're their hero if you can bring it down 3%. because
Exactly.
those store managers get bonus up if they can decrease outside services.
Yeah.
You know, which is why companies, in my opinion, go into decline, because the store managers are told decrease the cost of your outdoor services. Guys like you, myself, your dad, we're trying to build up companies and pay our people more money. It cannot work together. When the big companies are trying to bring it down, we're trying to bring it up. You have to bring in the technology you guys are using as the equalizer. Technology is the equalizer.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So,